What is up, D-Squad? It's your boy Dallas May here, back with another video. We are going to talk a little bit about The Last of Us 2. It's between okay and somewhat kind of fucked up. Got my double tap root beer here. I love a good root beer, especially when it's cold. Anyway, we're going to talk about The Last of Us 2. Now, the settings and the details, and attention to details in the game is 100% awesome. I actually like the details and the graphics and the setting, how it takes place in Seattle with some of the buildings growing mold on them and with the nature growing back, trying to take back the city and whatnot with the forests and it growing over the population. That's actually kind of something I would expect in an apocalypse, because with the city being abandoned for years with no one to maintain the nature or the freaking grass or plants growing, it will intend to grow back and try and, I don't know, take back the city somehow. But the story. Now, the story, I didn't really like it. If y'all know what I mean, you need to play The Last of Us 2. But when the beginning of The Last of Us 2 comes, our good, loving character, Joel Miller, who's our, no doubt, favorite character to play as in the story of The Last of Us 1, where we get so attached to him and Ellie playing in the first Last of Us, we all grow attached to these two characters. And we get to know a lot about Joel's backstory because we all know his backstory, right? He was a father, he had a job, he was working in some suburb type area, and then on his birthday, that's when the entire apocalypse sort of kicks off like a football out of hell. But in the end, when Joel saves Ellie, we thought, hey, maybe there's a part where we continue right after we leave off there. Well, we sort of get that. Sort of. Not 100%. The story doesn't continue right where we left off. Joel talking to Ellie, telling her lies about the fireflies and whatnot. We get to see Joel tell Tommy the truth about what happened at the hospital, and Joel's still kind of the same right after the end of the first Last of Us. And they ride off to a place called Jackson where they established a safe zone. I can agree there. Then we cut to Ellie, which is about 4 years later into the after the events of the first one. And she's like 20-something, close to 20, maybe 19. She's still pretty old for, well, not old, I mean, she's grown up. But, anyway, we continue with the story of Ellie playing as her and her lover, girlfriend, whatever you want to call them, Dina, and where Joel gets full-fledged Negan'd by a girl named Abby that we all assumed was good until, shock of all shocks, she shoots his damn kneecaps out with a shotgun. Now, personally, I wanted to reach through the screen and just choke the fuck out of Abby for that. I love root beer. If there ever was an apocalypse between this and Hawaiian-style pizza, those would probably be the only two things I miss. If there was an apocalypse, these would be the two things out of the entire community I'd probably miss. I mean, TVs, electronics, PS4s, all that stuff. I mean, I could probably deal with the loss of them because you gotta have your imagination. You can use your imagination to keep yourself entertained. Plus, there are generators, so if you do get bored, I don't know if I'd really use a generator just to play some games. Now, if I had solar panels, oh hell yeah, hook that shit up and start playing it. But a generator, might save that for something else, like an industrial oven or something. Or one of those deep freezers to keep meats cold or something like that. But to just play video games in general, nah, that'd be a waste of resources. But if it was solar panels, oh hell yeah, hook that shit up. But anyway, I ramble on. This is how I thought, or how I think The Last of Us 2 should have went out. In the beginning, I was expecting to actually continue playing as Joel or Ellie. Like in the beginning, we get to choose to play as Joel or Ellie. I figured the story might go as, like, Joe eventually tells Ellie the truth, which he does, about Ellie being the only one that's immune. But, no. I thought maybe Ellie finds out that, her mom is probably alive and looking for her, and that Joel and Ellie set out to go find her. Because I thought maybe that's how the story was gonna go. That Ellie finds out news about her mom. Because we know nothing about Ellie's mom. We know that she left Ellie with Marlene, but we never get to know anything about Ellie's mom. We get to know all about Ellie, but we don't get to know anything about her mom. So I figured, hey, maybe The Last of Us 2 brings to the table news about Ellie's mom, and maybe we get to set out to find her, and maybe she's under attack by the WLF, and maybe Ellie's mom gets killed by the WLF. Because from the trailers, I honestly thought that Joel and Ellie would be out on some sort of mission together. I mean, that would be awesome. That would have been awesome to get to choose to play as Joel or Ellie, and a mission where we get to set out and maybe look for Ellie's mother. Because we know nothing about her mom. And it would have been cool if the story was set out like that, where we get to play as Joel or Ellie, and helping Ellie look for her mother and reuniting them. Now that would have been awesome. And maybe at the end we get some free play or multiplayer. Because I looked all over the settings and main menu, and I did not see anything about first person or multiplayer or free play or anything like that. I just don't understand it. I mean, that would have been cool to see some of that shit. It would have. Because in my outtake of The Last of Us 2, I thought maybe we could set out, kill some WF, maybe because they kill Ellie's mom. That's how I thought the story was going to go. We play as Ellie or Joel in search of Ellie's mom, and the WLF kill her mom, and Ellie wants revenge, and Joel helps her, or some situation like that. That would have been a probably more better story to go with, other than Joel getting beaten like a friggin' nun with a freaking golf club. Because a lot of people were heartbroken and shocked to see Joel get full-fledged Negan with a freaking golf club. Especially by a woman that was just pissed at him for killing her dad. When I first saw that part going down, I just wanted to reach through the TV screen and just choke the fuck out of Abby. And then after Abby kills Jesse, damn near kills Ellie and Dina, that's when I definitely wanted to reach through the screen and just choke the fuck out of her myself. Because Abby's sort of a big bitch. I mean, sure, Joel killed her dad, killed probably the only person out of the whole world. I don't know why there ain't any other specific doctors in the world that could possibly make a cure. I mean, surely God, out there in the world, there has to be more than one doctor that can make a cure. Can't be just that one guy. I don't know why. The fuck? Get out of here, fly. Thought I tried to climb onto the camera lens just now. But it's one of those little gnats. I could see it crawling around on the camera. I really want to swat it, but I don't want to hit the camera. You kind of see my predicament. But yeah, I figured that's how the story would have went. We get to play as Joel or Ellie in The Last of Us 2. That would have been awesome. We get to set out, look for maybe Ellie's mom, because Ellie's mom gets news about Ellie that she's alive somewhere maybe. And then the WF try to hunt down her mom and fight her, and maybe we playing as Joel or Ellie try to save her. And maybe Ellie's mom gets killed by the WLF, and we get to get revenge somehow. Because honestly, I think a story like that, or generated like that in some way, would have been 10 to 1 better than the one that they give us. 10 to 1. Because nobody really wants to see Joel getting his head smashed in repeatedly. Nobody wants that. People want a badass, awesome story with our two lovable characters. But instead, Joel gets killed and Ellie lets that person that kills him go. And then Ellie goes back to their farmhouse and walks into the forest. So is there going to be a Last of Us 3? I don't know. Should the story have been changed up a little bit? I think so. I honestly think so. Because one, nobody wants to see Joel getting killed and hurt badly, because we've all grown to get attached to him. Like in The Walking Dead, we get attached to characters, and then they kill them off. I got attached to Merle Dixon being my favorite character. Instead, they kill him off. I get attached to Abraham being my favorite character, and they kill him off. Every single character that I end up liking on The Walking Dead gets killed off. I liked Merle because he was a badass and he was hilarious. I liked Abraham because he was hilarious and a badass. Every character that I liked that would be hilarious or a badass gets killed. But the one character I've loved that is my favorite is probably Daryl. Because Daryl kind of, I don't know what to say. Daryl kind of, I don't know what it is about Daryl that makes him my third favorite character. My first favorite was Merle, because he was hilarious at some points. And no, I'm not talking about the racial parts, okay? When he's being a racist ass. I'm not talking about those parts. I'm talking about the parts where he's sort of flirting with Andrea, or talking to himself. And he's a bit of a savage. Cuts off his own damn hand. I don't know why he didn't wait, because Daryl would have come for him either way. But, anyway. In The Last of Us 2, that's how I think the story should have gone. Ellie's mother comes into the picture, and we might get to know about her. The WF hunt her down for some reason. And we get to play as Joel or Ellie. Like in Dishonored 2. In the beginning, we get to choose to play as either Corvo or, what was her name? Emily. We get to choose to play as Corvo or Emily. Now, in The Last of Us 2, we don't get to make that decision at all. We get to play as Ellie, and then we get to play Abby. And we find out about Abby's sob story and finding her dead friends, and finding out that her dad was the guy Joel killed in the hospital. That was the doctor going to perform the surgery on Ellie. Now, I don't really like finding this Abby. I mean, after what she did to Joel, Jesse, and damn near killing Dina, Tommy, and Ellie, I hate her. Don't like her one bit. I like the gameplay. I love the gameplay. I love the settings. I love the new weaponry. And the designs and such. But the story? Change it up, for God's sake. No one wants to see Joel getting his head bashed in. That's just savage and sad. I hate seeing that part, because every time I see that part, I just skip past it, because I don't want to see Joel getting killed. Now, I would have loved to have seen an outcome where he survives this, and we get to play as him or Ellie, and maybe go after the WF that way. But instead, we get Ellie and Dina going after them themselves. I would have loved seeing maybe an outcome where we could play as Tommy or Joel again. That would have been awesome, but no, that's not the case. So, it makes me wonder what they'll come out for in Last of Us 3 if they do make one. And if they do, what will happen? Will we get to go after Abby again and kill her? Will we get to start a brand new life somewhere? Come up with new enemies? I know they came out with two new breeds of Zambos in The Last of Us 2. We got the Shamblers, which I thought was going to be a walker-type zombie. Or some regular average zombie that we all see. But no, it's one that runs up to you and spreads a acidic fog on you. Okay. And then there's a giant mutant behemoth zombie in the hospital parking lot. Now that's the one that freaked me out the most. Because it looked like 4 different breeds of zombies in one. So in The Last of Us 2, will we get to fight a few of those things? Will we get to fight none of them? Will it be brought up? I don't know. That will be awesome if so, and if they do make a Last of Us 3. But if they do, we probably will end up playing as Abby again. I hate her. Similar with Negan. Negan, I can somewhat forgive him for what he did to Abraham. I can kind of forgive him a little bit. But what he did to Glenn, unacceptable. Unacceptable. Joel and Glenn do not deserve the deaths they got. In fact, Glenn was going to be a father. Joel was being nice to Abby to begin with. He saved her fucking life, and she repays him by shooting at his fucking kneecaps and bashing his head in. Just 'cause he killed her father. What the shit, Abby? Just because he killed your father, you don't torture a man to death. You reason to listen. And maybe take a few punches at him. Shooting at his kneecaps, leaving him defenseless, and torturing him to death is overboard. I could see a few punches to the face, maybe. Alright? I can see that. But torturing him? Joel did not torture your dad. He did not set him on fire. He did not rip him limb from limb. He just straight up shot him. And you torture the man for that. Abby, you are a mega bitch. Oh, hey, a quarter. Yoink. Actually, this is something Abby collects, is coins. But anyway, that is my outtake on The Last of Us 2 and how I thought the story should have went. And maybe it probably would have gotten better reviews if it was written that way. I know I would have loved to have seen that. And then maybe The Last of Us 3, Joel gets killed off. Because, well, he deserves a better death than getting his head bashed in like Negan on The Walking Dead. He didn't deserve half of that. Maybe a few punches to the forehead, I could probably see that. But getting tortured to death, that's just overboard. Anyway, my name is Dallas May, and I will see you all in the next video. Dallas May, signing off.